All right, peace and much love. Happy thankful Thursday to those of you out there who's listening to this. I just wanted to pull over. I was out driving, get my car filled up with gas, and just checking out the neighborhood today. Just enjoying this beautiful day up here in Portland, Oregon. It's like 80 degrees. The sun is shining. The weather is sweet. It makes you want to move your dancing feet. Bob Marley there for those who don't know. Hey, I was just sitting here today thinking about how we add value to each other as a culture. A lot of times I hear artists complaining online on Facebook about how they're not appreciated, how they're not being paid attention to, how they're making this art and putting it out for a community and it's falling on deaf ears. And as an artist myself, I certainly understand the struggle of that because somebody that we don't know can put out an album and people will be talking about it online, but then somebody we do know puts out the same music that's a lot better sometimes, and there's crickets chirping, or maybe just a few of their friends comment on the album or comment on the piece of art, and then it's just that, it's lost in time. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about that today, but let me just check in with the gospel of hip hop, and I did what I call a mystery pick, what people call a mystery pick, where you just kind of, I got my copy of the gospel of hip hop here. You just kind of grab the book and you just kind of think, what's the message for me today? Or what would you like me to share today, God? And so I put my hand on that, just thought about it for a second, put some meditation into it. And then I opened up the gospel of hip hop, and you can open it up too. And this is the page that I just opened it up to with that theme that I just shared in mind before I opened up the book, if you follow me. And so if you open up to page 267, paragraph 74, it says, self-empowerment begins when you can bring value to those people, places, things, and events already around you or in your possession. We simply took responsibility for ourselves. He's talking about early hip-hoppers. We did not accept the conditions of our parents. We decided to become active participants in our own survival. We simply gave ourselves value. We began to define ourselves. Word. I just want to concentrate on that one paragraph right there, on paragraph 74 on page 267 in the Gospel of Hip Hop, especially right here at the very beginning, the very first sentence where it says self-empowerment begins when you can bring value to those people, places, things, and events already around you or in your possession. Now, to me, what that's saying, I'm going to put that down and just freestyle here. To me, what that's saying and the essence of that is there's a story that goes like this. If two people are sitting in their room and they're both broke, they got a dime to their name between the two of them. And, they're sitting there, they're having a discussion, and one guy's like, yo, I've been working on these rhymes. Check it out. And then he goes and he spits his rhymes, Zinnaru breaking through the age of darkness. This going out to all my hip hop artists. And the person next to you has the power at that point because you just said, yo, here's my soul right here. Here's my artwork. Let me put it out there for you to hear. And this dude's your friend. This guy's your friend sitting right next to you. Now, your friend at that moment can kind of make or break you. They could say, that shit is whack, man. I like the new Jay-Z album better. You need to rhyme like so-and-so and this and that. Blah, blah, blah. And then that can end it. Somebody's soul could be crushed at that point. And, if that person is supposed to be your friend, they shouldn't be crushing your soul. Now, the other scenario is dudes like, yo, Zinnaru breaking through the age of darkness. This is going out to all my hip hop artists, all of my breakers, MCs and DJs. And then dude next to you is like, oh, that shit's live. Come with it. All of a sudden, you just spit out your value and the person next to you just validated what you just spit. They just added value to you by hearing what you spit and then hyping you up. That person then could go out and say, yo, you got to hear my man over here. He can spit this. Yo, spit it for him. And then you come in, Zinnaru breaking through the age of darkness. This going out to all my hip hop artists, all of my breakers, MCs and DJs. That person just added value to you. You just added value to that person because if you're hanging out with somebody who's valuable, that makes you valuable. So if we can learn to make each other valuable, be able to value each other, valuable, right? Being able to value each other, be able to value each other, This is how early hip hop is. This is how their wealth increased. This is how their notoriety and their fame increased, was because they gave value to each other. They didn't tear each other down. And I'm noticing on the internet a trend for the older heads, especially in their late 30s and 40s and even 50s, dissing younger men and women. And I don't understand that. Being 44 myself, well, I'll be 44 in a couple weeks. Man, I can't understand how we could devalue our youth so much that we make fun of them as adults. I mean, were you ever a kid? Did you like it when older people made fun of you or diss you or disrespected you? Like, that doesn't add value. That's the same as the friend right here. You coming out, you spit in your art, you being the younger person now, you spit in your art, you expressing yourself, and then the older person next to you is like, nah, that shit's whack, man. That ain't like we did back in the day. And he can't even spit sometimes. Sometimes that dude can't even spit. He never even tried. So, what value is he adding to the conversation at that point? I'm asking and I'm challenging the older heads out there, like, what value are you actually adding to the conversation? I ain't saying you got to lie and pretend to like music that you don't like. And I want to get to another point on that later, because not all the youngsters are spitting the same. There's a wide variety of young 20-year-olds who spit totally different styles. There's some monsters out there just killing it lyrically. I forgot his name. J. Cole just signed this kid. Somebody just sent me a video on it last night. Dude was spitting the raw bars on bars on bars. 400 bars, it seemed like, just kept rolling, just saying the craziest, illest rhymes. And, I want to get back to the point, though, about adding value to each other, because when we talk about Hip Hop Appreciation Week, which is every third week in May, we talk about what the word appreciation means. And to appreciate something means to add value to that. And that's what happens when an artist puts out an album and his community appreciates that album. They share the album with their friends. They listen to the album, and not just a quick glance over the album, but really listen with intention to the album. Have something to say to the artist about the album. Offer them some constructive feedback. Even if you're like, nah, I ain't feeling this all the way, you ain't got to diss the person. If you ain't feeling it, you could say, yo, I highlight what you liked about the album. Let them know, like, yo, that one line you said right there, that shit was dope. That's something I would like to hear more of from you. That can go a long way. Instead of like being, nah, this shit's whack, and not even talk to the artist about it. And they're sitting there going, oh, I just spent, 4 months making this album, or I spent, 2 months making this track and this video, and nobody's sharing it, nobody's liking it. But everybody's bumping the new Raekwon album, and respect the Raekwon, the album's dope. But I'm just saying, like, how are we gonna have new Raekwons? How are we gonna have new KRS Ones? How are we gonna have new Chuck D's if we don't listen with intention to those around us? Like, where did the icons in hip hop culture come from? Where did they just appear magically out of thin air and nobody knew them, and they have no history and no friends in their neighborhood? Nah, that's not how the original culture started. Go talk to Grandmaster Caz. Go talk to Busy Bee. Go talk to the pioneers and find out, like, what was the situation like when they were kids coming up? These were young guys who were giving birth to the culture. Ask them what encouraged them, because those pioneers, those older heads who really understand how much it took, how much courage it took, how much inspiration it took, they built each other up. And that way is, if you build somebody up, they have more confidence in what they're doing, and you get better with confidence and faith. And, I know as an artist personally, you're going to hit obstacles. People aren't going to like your music. People are going to diss you. They may even like your music and still diss you. Like, that's an issue that happens as an artist. So you got to develop that rhino skin, that rhino hide that's just like impenetrable. All that rain, I don't like you, you're solid, you should rhyme like this guy. Let that rain just like bounce right off you and cleanse you. Let that cleanse you if you're an artist. You've really got to appreciate yourself at that point. You got to become your own best friend. You got to manage your career. You got to be your own art director. You've got to listen to yourself subjectively and not objectively. Like, listen to yourself as a subject and be like, man, if I'm just looking at myself subjectively, this is the areas I need to improve in. This is the areas where these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. As an artist, don't be afraid to look at your weaknesses either. Don't just hung up on your strengths. Well, I got the craziest freestyle. But if your weakness is you can't write a song, then, work on those weaknesses. But look at it and be honest with yourself. Be subjective with your reality. Man, fuck objective reality. That shit is so fucking overrated. I'll go online and see people like thinking that like by thinking objectively, I am at a higher mindset because I can just pull myself out of my body and just look at this experience. Like that I don't know where these ideas of being objective came from. But that's kind of like when your man's is dissing you too. Like, I'll be objective about it. No, it's not really my taste. It's not as good as so-and-so's album. And like, man, subjective reality. Like, you're like, yo, the guy over here who just heard you spit, that guy could be like, yo, man, subjectively, like, I really care about this person. I can see they're passionate about their art. I have the moment here. I have the power within me now to help this person's art either further along, or I could diss him right now. And I mean, I think any caring, compassionate human being who wants to be a good friend at 101 is going to come out and encourage that person, encourage that artist. And now that person, imagine that person over there that you're spitting your rhyme to, or that's getting a rhyme spit to. Imagine that as the community at large, as the whole community now looking at one individual. And then that individual's courage to go out and be like, yo, Zinneru breaking through the age of darkness. This is going out to all my hip hop artists. It takes a lot of courage to just grab the mic and get in front of people and spit your rhyme. So if the community now hears somebody who's fire, and then they just ignore them and act, oh, I hear that all the time. Oh, it's this, back in 87, so-and-so did it better. Like, yo, man, if a young guy or a new artist is coming out and they're spitting something, like, the community needs to respect that. Don't wait for record labels, man. Hip-hop wasn't built off of record labels. Like, hip-hop was not built off of record labels. At no time has hip-hop culture ever been built by a record label. If you look at it historically, it's the record labels that have been suppressing the actual culture itself. So what is it that builds up the culture? What is it that builds us up? It's our community. The community is so responsible. It's the same thing with leadership too in the community. It's the same exact thing. Like, a leader is reflection, is a mirror of what the community is. So if the community don't like the leadership, that means the community don't like itself. If the leadership's disorganized, then that means the community is disorganized. Let's get real here. People be complaining all the time. Oh, our leadership doesn't do this. Our elders don't do this. You ain't doing it, or you wouldn't be complaining about it. Just like dissing your man, like, oh man, well, you think you're all that. No, man, I don't think I'm all of that. He don't think he's all of that. We're putting our heart out there. We're putting our soul out there. We care about this culture. We care about hip hop. So why diss? Why diss? There's a maturity level that comes when you grow up and you be a man, where you can't be dissing people all the time. A grown man. I mean, if you're like 22 now, and like you dissing somebody, like, that comes with youth and, as experience. But when you're 45 and you dissing a 20-year-old, like, imagine a father dissing his son, or a mother dissing her daughter in front of people. Like a 12-year-old girl sitting there and her mother's like, oh, she thinks she's all that in front of people. Like, how is that girl going to grow up and have a good self-image? And how's that young woman going to have value herself if her mom's dissing her? If dad's dissing you, how are you going to feel valuable in life? I mean, there's a huge difference between dissing somebody and having to give somebody some tough love when they're acting up. So I don't want people out there to think that by supporting artists who are already established, you're supporting hip hop culture. That ain't right. If you really support the culture, you need to find young artists, groups of artists, new artists even. I mean, there's older cats like myself who's coming out, like, all the time. It takes courage to be an artist and put yourself out there. And so I don't say you got to support my music. I don't care if you like my music or not. Like, at the end of the day, I mean, I do care. I want to make dope music, but if people ain't feeling it, they ain't feeling it. But like, if you ain't feeling my music, I guarantee there's 5 artists you could hit me up on Facebook, and I can give you a list of 5 artists who are dope right now who you may have never heard of. And they could be, all of them could be under 30, 5 of them. And they don't sound like anything on the mainstream. So, also, as the last point I wanted to make is, if, we're looking at the youth on the mainstream and we're like, oh, this is representative of all our youth. Everybody thinks just like this. Like the mainstream tells us, dude, this is how the young kids think. Like, nah, man, these young kids, they straight up spit like it's the golden age. you know? And I mean, I know we know Joey Badass is dope and J. Cole and Kendrick. I know we know there's some golden age artists out there. But even that, like, look at that. Even in the mainstream, like, mumble rap isn't the only thing that's going on. And like, if mumble rap's a phase, let it be a phase. If somebody masters that, let them master it. If somebody likes it, let them like it. But like, don't spend the time dissing mumble rap if you're not going to support like a young cat like G Santana. Like, I'll put a link to G Santana's music. Dude's a young cat, man, spitting the raw. Great voice, great lyrics, and he's got a real heart for the music. Like, he cares about his music. And so when you hear G Santana spit, you hear somebody who cares about the music and cares about the culture. Like, so instead of dissing the people you don't like, why not uplift somebody like a G Santana or Sun One or He Manifests, or uplift the people that don't get the airplay. Why diss people online? Like, what a waste of time, man. What a waste of time dissing people constantly. Uplift our youth, uplift the culture carriers, you know? I mean, some of us, like, you know, myself and Son One, we getting a little older now. And so when we're spitting, you know, there's a little more wisdom that comes with the music. And with the youth, they're spitting like that energy that only comes with the youth. And when you're older, like, there's an energy that you can remember about yourself when you were younger that carried you to get to where you at today. Why not stoke that fire? Why not feed that fire? Why not, like, you know, why not big up those kids? Why not big up the youngsters who's coming up? So when they get older, when they become 40, they're not all bitter and hard like most y'all out there are, you know? I mean, I don't want to diss nobody, but I know, you know, I'm 44, like I said, and man, I know people in my age group be dissing. Just dissing bitter old motherfuckers, man. Like you can't be bitter at 44. Nah, that ain't even, like, that's sad, man. If you bitter about the youth and you 44, that just means like you ain't doing anything. Like you just wasting your time. Like just bitter. Just, oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. Like bitter people, man. And I'll tell the youth, like, I was around bitter people all the time. I was around them all the time. I worked construction for years. I worked landscaping for years. I worked in warehouses, man. And like, I mean, I'm talking back in like 1994. And like, you know, that older generation who was like in the 30s and 40s, man, they hated anything. I was listening to Bob Marley. I was growing dreadlocks, man. I got dissed every fucking day of the week, man. I didn't give a fuck, like, for real. Like, well, I'm gonna be here today and be like those bitter dudes who were dissing me? Nah, man, I ain't got time to be dissing the youth. You know, you got to uplift the youth or just be quiet, you know, and go sit alone in your bitterness. And I know it can get frustrating if you're young that you don't have a lot of older cats looking out for you, but they are out there, and you know, you can always find somebody. If you got an open heart and open soul and mind, you can find a mentor, and you can find that. But I just wanted to share that. You know, I know it's a little bit longer video. I won't want to make a 5-minute video because that's what all the statistics show is. People won't listen to your video if it's longer than 5 minutes. But like, you know, if you got something to say, you got something to say. Don't be addicted to the status quo. Don't be addicted to the blurbs, man. When I came up, we listened to whole albums from front to back because we had a longer attention span. And so that's another thing to you kids too, man. Develop a longer, to the younger people out there, if you develop a longer attention span, you'll appreciate art more. You can grab an album like this right here, like Prince's Hit and Run Phase 1. And if you got a long enough attention span, you can go front to back quite a few times and really appreciate the artistry of the greatest of all time. Not really, man. I mean, this album is incredible. And the reason I brought this album up too is because he let a younger producer produce this record and really run with it. So if you Google it up and just look at the history of this record, you'll see that. You'll see that he Prince of all people put the reins in a younger person's hand of production. So there's, on that album, Hit and Run Phase 1, there's a certain elegance and power to this youthful, like, wah 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 production, and then Prince's masterful guitar work. It's a match made in heaven. And I think that's one of the songs on there talking about heaven too. So you know, support the youth. You should respect the elders. You should respect those who are growing up, especially those who are putting their hand out, who want to help, who want to support the youth. Like show those elders some respect. And don't become bitter like the other elders. If the elders are dissing you, you know, just let it go. Just let that wash off your rhino skin, man. You know, let it just wash you off and clean the mud off, man. Because you can't get trapped in the bitterness. And that's my word. Let's support each other as a culture. Let's support each other as a people. Those of us who's older, let's lead by example, but also those who are younger can lead by example too. I'm inspired every day by people who are younger than me. And I mean, I saw a young girl who was like, 4 years old dancing this weekend, and it inspired me. 4 years old, she inspired me. Like, she had more courage than I got at this moment. Like, for real, like most of us don't have the courage of a 4-year-old girl who's dancing. Like, just think about that for a second, man. She had some true courage to be up in front of like 100 people dancing, not caring what they thought, man. And it was a sight to behold. And that's what I'm saying. Be encouraged with yourself first. Encourage your man second. Encourage the culture third. Let us uplift each other. Let us be what we don't get, and quit looking to the mainstream for answers, because they will never have the answers, and they don't care about you. They want your money, and they want to mind control, but they don't care about you. And when you're talking about a culture of hip hop that's from the heart, that is a culture of peace and prosperity, of peace, love, unity, and safely having fun, of health, love, awareness, and wealth. When you're looking at that as principles, you look at the hip hop Declaration of Peace. These are powerful, powerful tools to uplift and appreciate and add value to each other and enhance the culture and enhance our living. And 30 years around the corner, we're going to be seeing Hip Hop City. The quality of that city is going to be up to the decisions we make today in 2017. So make the decision to appreciate those who are putting their hearts on the line, putting their artwork out there, and quit complaining. Uplift what you love. Don't uplift what you don't love. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's my piece. There it is. Ministers in the Roo. Peace and much love. Happy Thankful Thursday. And a shout out to my brother Counterculture for giving me a little nudge to start speaking more on video. There it is. Peace.